Okay, here we go. For those that want it, it is showtime. Remember, they can push up into this a little bit, but this is a resistance zone. So the concept is first, they stop going up. They spike it a little bit. Maybe they get up to 438 and a quarter or something like that. But running away to 439.45 is not necessarily the worry right now. Grinding up would be the more likely thing. But they just picked up a little speed when they got here, which means that there's action going on up here. So it's an important place. There's your 438.05 and then some. What are you looking for in this trade? You're looking for them to pull back and give you 5 points, give or take. The rest, you can hold it. But you're looking for minimum of 4. You're really looking for 5 points. You're looking for 437.50. That should happen, but famous last words. You're looking for 437.50 on the initial pullback, when they pull back, or in front of it. You know the drill. As long as they stay above 437.90, they're going to float, come back below, and they'll pretty quickly drop 50 cents, 40 cents. Just maintain patience. We don't get excited. We don't pound the table. We don't yell at it. We just use what we do from a strategy and mechanical standpoint. It's a process. Right? Wait for our stuff. They're not all going to work. Many are going to work. And we just do the same thing over and over again with the full and complete understanding that once in a while, it's not going to work. But we keep doing the same thing because most of the time it works. Remember what we said before, because I want to reinforce it. What is resistance? Resistance is first, they stop going in the direction they're going, upward. Support is the opposite. Even if it's for a little while, it stops the tape. Okay, the second phase is they either pull back or they just go back and forth sideways. So this 438, give or take, so far has been short-term resistance, just for a few minutes, but it starts somewhere. Whether it's 437.90, 438.05, it's a very small zone, but that's a 438, give or take. Where should the stop loss be set? Well, there's a zone between 438, give or take, and 439.45. So that's on the board. We talked about that. And so therefore, if you're not willing to buy again or sell again, if you will, in the zone halfway or at the second number, then you can't sell the first. So if you're a one-trick pony or a one contract player or a one entry type trader, then you have to wait for the higher stuff. If you're short now and you're not willing to ride it up, then you have to pick a number. But I have a zone. And we talked about it before we got into the trade, which is they could spike it up to 438.25 on a spike, all that stuff. But this is overhead resistance, so they should stop going up, which they did so far. But if they continue up and you fall into that category of a one entry player, you have to make a decision, or you should make a decision now. Same 438. There's nothing going on up here just yet. By the way, just so I get this out before I forget, if you are watching the Fed and you're interested in taking a position that would be a swing trade position, in my opinion, even if it's just for a couple of days, there's a number where if they spike them up and they just had a rip-roaring rally and they had one of those 100 handle S&P days, 120 handle S&P days on the upside, if they're doing that, 452 on the spider, give or take, is a stone cold short. Just put that on a sticky note. It's unlikely, but anything can happen, so you might as well know about it. Carmine, why do we concern ourselves with the pivot on some days and not others? Because some days we don't have one or need one. Very quiet day like this, there's no pivot. The market is basically floating higher, and it's a good question, by the way. As it continues to float higher, as it has over the last several days and all that stuff, you have less and less of a pivot type of place, because the slightest thing can pull the entire rug out. It's not the same at least not the way I look at it. When the market has more activity in a space, so let me go to an example. Okay, so when we're doing this, okay, I can find a pivot that will kind of send the market down to another level or up to another level. And you see how they traded around something here, and it doesn't matter what it was at the time. It's just there was a pivot in here, okay? But now, where's a pivot? I don't really have one. I mean, I could say that 435 is a pivot. I didn't say it today, but I could say that, and we would be correct. Because if they start closing candles below 435, notwithstanding the fact that this low over here is slightly below, but 435 is important, that would open the door for lower stuff, namely the gap and potentially lower. So we could call that a pivot. So, but the answer is I don't necessarily look at it. Each and every day is different, and some days I just don't see a standout place that tells me the market is going to turn bearish for a while or bullish for a while. We're just kind of in a melt up, and that's really your answer. And it's not a great answer, but that's the answer. It has to do with the melt up that we've been seeing, really. IWM relative weakness, and you are correct. Why is that? Now here's my answer. Because they got into a resistance zone. So they stopped going up, at least temporarily. Now they're eating time off the clock. But nevertheless, this is an hourly chart. This is just day 2. So we don't know. But this is a resistance zone, which is why they stopped going up. That's my answer. Somebody else has a different answer. Everybody looks at the same information, but comes out with their own interpretation of what that means or what it is. Remind me in a few minutes if I don't get right back to that, Nick, but I want to focus on the spiders, okay? Because they're coming down, right? So they're at that 50 place. So your scalp is done, okay? The rest is trader's choice. You could hold for more. They can get to 437 or lower, but now it's a risk-free, emotionless trade. Those that took the short, well done. I'm going to go update the notes. We'll be right back. So what was the low here? 50 on the button. 49. Funny how that works. Okay, so everybody knew what the game was. Should have taken a scalp off, and don't let the rest go bad on you. It's not that important. It's just a base hit, okay? Yeah, Mark, that's it. It was 4 or 5 point trade. That's fine. That's all it was. Remember, if I say it's a 5 point trade, give or take, right? You say, okay, that's my expectation for the trade. I'm not looking for 10. If I get 10, fantastic. But I'm going to take some off, make sure I book some profit at the 5 points. Nice job, Jeff. That's great, right? 5 points, 3 contracts, right? What does that smell like? 750? Okay, Shannon, nice job. 1 double, 2 singles, and 3 risk-free motionless trailers. How do you like that? Love that. It's not bad for a quiet day, right? You get something in the books. You had some stocks on the move opportunity, something for everybody, a short opportunity. I'm not sure if anybody rode the long, but that was your own if you did. Nice job, Grant. Well done. Nice little day. For a Fed, waiting on the Fed day, this is pretty good. You come in saying, all right, if I get something, great. If I don't, I'm not worried about it. All right, let's get back to, I think it was Nick's question before, which is, how do you figure out what 452 in the spiders and the stone cold short, if they did it, how do you figure out what that is in the ES? So ESU 2023, which is the September contract, all right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say